Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a warmer weekend than we had here in Minnesota. I got some good information here to cover today. So first thing is last week's 5Q tape breakdown was what does this advisor do twice in 30 seconds? It's great to learn from other people's mistakes, and then what is the best way after a tape breakdown? What's the best thing for you to do with the information you've learned from the breakdown? What do you think the best thing for you to do? Just say, wow, that's interesting, or say, wow, that makes sense, or wow, I'll never do that again. When you say practice, what do you mean by practice? When should you be practicing that? There you go, 15 minutes during your 15-minute drill. Thanks, David. So let's go here. So this is out of Financial Advisor Magazine, Planning Errors Part 2. Planning Errors Retirees Make Part 2. So let's take a look at that. Number one is keeping the spouse in the dark. So how do we avoid that with the 5Q system? How do we avoid that with the 5Q system? How is our system different from everybody else that's out there when it comes to the spouse? No one-leggers, I agree with that, but more importantly, once they're in the system, how do we do it? We include both of them in the conversation, and how, why is she willing, and again, we're being general here, it can be reversed, but one spouse generally knows about the investing, the other doesn't, whether it's a man or the husband or the wife or the wife or the husband, doesn't matter. Most times we'll talk in generalities. If the husband knows what's going on with investing, the wife doesn't. Why does she get interested in what we do versus what all the other advisors are doing? How do we include her in the conversation? Why does she feel included? Guys, this should be right off the top of your head. You should all be answering this boom, 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 boom. What is the wife worried about? If the husband is taking care of the investments and the money, what's the wife taking care of? What does the wife take care of? Who makes sure everybody gets an invitation to Thanksgiving? Who makes sure all of the birthday cards go out? Who makes sure that the family runs the way it should be running? Does the husband both manage the investments and the family, or is it usually she's the caretaker? That's right. She takes care of the family. Well, what are all the non-financial things about? What are all the non-financial things about? Family. Also, who's generally more aggressive? And who's more concerned about security? Are the non-financial things about security? So when you do your annual reviews, do you cover all the non-financial things? You better be. Why do you cover all the non-financial things? Well, first of all, how many of your clients actually do all the non-financial things when you recommend? How many of them? I mean, I would go 3 years and say, did you get the Survivor's Guide done? Oh, no, shoot, I didn't do that. Can we get another one? I mean, how many actually do the non-financial thing? No. But why do you keep bringing it up every year? First of all, it's the right thing to do. Second thing, though, it reminds them that what? What does it remind them of? What does it remind them of? If you go on a date with a girl and the only thing you talk about is sex, she knows you're only concerned about what? Sex. If all you do is talk about their money, that's right. You're not a money-grubbing salesman, Dave. That's exactly right. If you talk about the non-financial, every time you get together, it reminds them you're different. And why is that an advantage? If the market goes down 20, 30, 40, 50%, it reminds them that what? Because if the only thing you do is you manage their money and the market goes down 50%, you are what? If the only thing you do is manage their money and the market goes down 50%, I don't care how much you think you prepared them, you are what? Done like dinner, yeah. So what is doing the non-financial things every year remind them of? You're paying me a fee not just for the money, but to be a true financial advisor. Does that make sense? Don't fall into this. Make sure you're always talking about things that the wife is concerned with, because we all know, happy wife, happy life. So make sure you're including her. The second mistake that retirees make is they don't understand that estate planning is more than just a will. So we got not only a power of attorneys. What else does it include? When it comes to power of attorneys, what else do we do that nobody else does? When it comes to powers of attorney, what entities do not accept Well, medical power of attorney, I'll agree with that. Yeah, that's advanced healthcare directive, medical. Yeah, we do that. But when it comes to power of attorney, that's right, Ron. Social Security. Yeah, we take care of that as well. What other things have we talked about when it comes to estate planning that you need to have, or most people want? Quality of life directive. Yeah, that's down here. Advanced healthcare directive. Yep. But something that's not on here when it comes to estate planning. What POD? Yeah, I would agree with that, John. Specific bequests, I would agree with that. That's in our survivor's guide. Absolutely, the survivor's guide. That's an awesome one. What else? Have we talked about digital wills, guys? Have we talked about the need to have a digital will? Have we also talked about the values will? What do we call the values will that we have on our website? Leaving a letter talking about the values, the things that you want to pass on, your values and the things you'd like to pass on. You should know about that because that's a great thing that you could talk about doing at your place of worship. People love that. Do you all know what, Missy, where do we have that on the website?
That is underneath the low-cost marketing. And I apologize here. I have to just kind of look at it myself. It is.
Well, can you find it and then let me know as I move along here? So, guys, we'll zoom back to that. So, and dismissing long-term care costs. Do we have solutions for long-term care costs that don't require expensive annual premiums? If you don't know what those are, call ECA. They will help you with those. And is that an important thing to be discussing? Well, let's take a look at that. Of 65 plus adults, projected need for long-term care, hey, a big chunk will never need it. Another little smaller chunk will need it for less than a year, but look at what chunk of the total will need it for greater than 5 years. Greater than 5 years of long-term care, what will that do to somebody's retirement plan? What will that do to somebody's retirement plan? The average cost now is $105,000 a year. Holy cow! You got to have a pretty rich client to have that not put a dent in their retirement. And what if they said, well, you know what though? I'm just going to take care of them at home and have a home health care. Is that cheap? Is that cheap? How many of you? That's $250,000 or 260, 270 grand right out the window. That's just health. That's just healthcare. That's not all the home health aid. That's not even all the medical costs that are incurring. Does that make sense? Number 4, making decisions based on the news. How many of you had a client call you based on a headline on the news? You got to be constantly coaching them that should you be worried about what the market did today? Last week I was talking to one of our advisors, and he was saying, yeah, the market's down 600 points or whatever, and the market's having quite a day. And I said, oh, what's happening? Do I look at the market every day or any day really? Do I ever look at the market personally? Do I have any clue what the market did at the end of the day? No, I have no clue. Why? Why do I have no clue what the market did? Does what the market did affect me? Yeah, it affects me. Does it affect what I'm going to do, though? Does it affect my plan? Am I going to make any decisions based on what the market did today? Well, guess what you have to be coaching your clients on? That very thing. Don't make decisions based on the news. And a big one is this is right out of Investment News, many affluent retirees reluctant to draw down savings. And their definition of affluent is assets greater than $320,000 or income greater than $100,000 a year. So why won't they spend? Well, they said some of them want to leave an inheritance to children. Some are uncertain of medical costs. That's a good thing to be concerned about. And some are uncertain of their life expectancy. Do we have a solution for these things, guys, so they can spend more? Yeah, it's our unique selling proposition, isn't it? Pull out 25% to 100% more income with less chance of running out of money. We have a solution. So the stats are 54% of retirees had a financial strategy before they retired, but only 12% in writing. So if you have a strategy, 50% said they have a strategy, but it's not in writing. Is that really a strategy? How many football teams run their Sunday game without a plan in writing? They just do it off the top of their heads. Yeah, that's right, Bruce. It's just a wish if you don't have it in writing. You got to have it in writing. Now, here's the thing, though. Does the 21-point checklist a financial plan that's in writing? Is the 21-point checklist a financial plan that's in writing? I would say yes and no. Now, what do we have that's a financial plan in writing? You guys are so smart, Tom and Dave. Yes, the sale. The sale is in writing. Yes, everybody's getting that. The sale is in writing. The sale is in writing. So are these new business opportunities? If everybody's worried about these things, or these are the problems, is this a business opportunity for us to talk about things that spouses want to talk about when they feel ignored from their current advisor? In fact, what percentage of wives stay with the financial advisor once their husband dies? What percentage of wives stay with the financial advisor once their husband dies? So we got a 15%, we got less than 10%, we got 10%, yeah. Depending on where you look, but it is no higher than 15. I've always heard less than 10%. So is that a business opportunity? First of all, to make sure you don't lose clients. Second of all, to get additional clients by talking about non-financial things. How about all the things that we do, the fact that we take care of the opportunity when it comes to Social Security, Medicare, the Treasury Department, the Department of Agriculture. Is that a business opportunity? Yes. And Missy, did you find that yet? Where we have that on the website?
Yes, I sure did.
Okay.
It's underneath low-cost marketing.
Yep.
And then it's under ebook bonus gifts. So just go to the ebook bonus gifts. And it's the legacy letter. It's the second
Pass
from
on
the
what's
last
really
one from the
important.
bottom. There you go. Yep.
So guys, this is, could you do at your place of worship, do you think that your pastor would be interested in you presenting, the people at your place of worship be interested in a legacy letter, talking about things that are important to you? The books that you've read are important, the movies, the sports, what you feel about family, what you felt about professional life, so that people have a good work-life balance, your experiences, your spirituality. Would this be a good thing to teach a class on at your place of worship? Nobody's answering this. Yeah, so we got one yes. Does this look like you're trolling for business, guys, to your pastor or anybody in your congregation? No, you're actually providing a great service, but you are setting yourself up as what? You're being helpful, somebody of value that people can approach with other answers. By providing this value, could this lead to other types of relationships? See, that's the best thing. Give before you ask. Makes sense? Thanks, Missy. So let's see here, get out of this. So this is a business opportunity. Is this a business opportunity? Getting 2 years or more of long-term care without expensive annual premiums, is that a business opportunity? Yes. This may or may not be a business opportunity. Is this a huge business opportunity, though? That's why we use, this is a unique selling proposition. The long-term care is a unique selling proposition. That's why we do that. Make sense? So make sure, you utilize these business opportunities. If you want your marketing to be inexpensive, you got to do what? If you want your marketing to be extremely inexpensive, you have to have what? See how many people can get this. What do you have to have if you want your marketing to be? Referrals, I would agree, but how do you get referrals? Tom's got it. Let's see if anybody else gets it. Nick's got it. How do you get word of mouth? That's a good one, Steve, word of mouth. But how do you get word of mouth? Dave's got it, a reason to see me. You need a unique selling proposition. Do you have 3 unique selling propositions that no other advisor has in your area? Why does a unique selling proposition make your marketing inexpensive? because it's something that people want, it's something that you do well, and it's something that their current advisor does not know how to do. Are these three unique selling propositions, do they meet that criteria? Something that clients want. Do clients want 25% higher income with less chance of running out of money? Everybody answer that with a Y or an. Yes or no? Okay. Do clients want long-term care protection without expensive annual premiums? Y or N? Do clients want a program that will continue to pay Social Security once their spouse dies? Okay, so it meets that. Okay, and do you all know how to do those things? If you don't know how to do those things, you need to call us, and we'll walk you through it. If you don't know how to do those things, you need to call us, and we'll walk you through it. And then third question is, are any of your competition talking about any of those three unique selling propositions? So that's, utilize that as a unique selling proposition. Now, once you're in front of them, you got to be able to sell. So I just want, these are great reminders. Many of us are doing them, but unfortunately, many of us know so much stuff that we forget half of what we know. So it's a good reminder. This is from HubSpot, how to sell anything to anybody. They walk through, make it about them, do your research. We're going to talk about these more in detail, but make it about them, do your research before reaching out, build rapport first, define your buyer, contribute first, sell second, ask questions and listen, be mindful of psychological quirks, approach them on their level, hit an emotional high point, and remember you're selling to a person. So let's talk about that. Make it about them. How do we make it about them? How do we make it about them? What is the technique that we use with every single meeting? Oh, that's very good. Open-ended questions. Open-ended questions makes it about them. It prevents us from making it about ourselves. So that's how we handle making it about, and ape and gots, absolutely right, I agree with that. Aping them, agreeing, parroting, and empowering. And is empowering about the most powerful tool you have to make it about them? Yes, it is. So the 5Q system revolves around this. The backbone of the system is motivational interviewing, open-ended questions, aping and gotsing them. So this is our whole backbone of our system, so we do make it about them. Know your customer. I have guys call me up and say, hey, I saw this about 401ks, a good marketing system for getting into businesses doing 401ks. What do I tell them? What do I tell them? Good idea, bad idea? I think it's a great idea. What's the problem with it? Yeah, it's not your market, Steve. That's right. If you want to do that, if you want to go in and get a 401ks and businesses, what should you do 100% of the time? That. How about somebody comes in, hey, look at all this college planning system. It says you get appointments. They'll set you up with 5 or 10 appointments. I say, that's terrific. I mean, it's not a very good way to make money, but you certainly would get a lot of appointments. But should you be doing that on the side when you're working with the senior market? You know, when my market, there's a lot of things that came to confluence when I started making 50 grand all the way up to, immediately jumping after 8 years of 50 grand, jumping immediately to 356 and 667, then $1 million. A lot of things happened. One is I did motivational interviewing. Another is that I taped all my meetings. But another thing I did was I took all my clients who were not retired and I gave them away. I gave them away. I gave them to an advisor that I trusted, and I gave them away. Because when I looked at somebody and said, I specialize in retirement, what does specializing mean? I laughed. There was a Waddell and Reed guy in town, and he had a billboard that says, we specialize in college planning. We specialize in retirement planning. We specialize in tax planning. We specialize, guys, do they specialize in anything? If that's what's on the billboard, no. So when I looked at somebody and said, I only work with retirees, I needed to be what? In order to look them in the eye and say that, it needed to be true. So I got rid of the only clients I worked with were people who were retired. I didn't even work with pre-retirees. I said, you know what? Call me when you're retired. Call me when you're retired. I only work with retirees. Does that make sense? Know your customer and find a market that you're going to work. Now, here's where we're different from everybody else out there. Do we worry about rapport at the first meeting? See, the thing is, no, I don't read. Nope. Somebody said yes. No, we don't worry about report at the first meeting. We gather data. We do the 6 goals. Make sure they want all of those 6 goals. I'm sorry, 5 goals. Sorry about that. We do that they want 5 of those goals at a very, very high level, and then we set the next appointment. Why do we not do rapport, especially the rapport in the old way? Do I ever say, do I ever try to find things that we have in common? When you go to the car dealership and they start fishing for things in common, and then they say, boy, you're dressed beautifully. I love that. I love that shirt that you're wearing there. Or, hey, you know what? I love fishing. That's why you want the truck. I fish too. Where do you fish? What do you know they're doing that for? Because they really care that you fish? Why are they doing that? Yeah, they're buddying up to you to sell you something. So do you really want to sound, hey, I get Zig Ziglar? Yeah, rapport, big thing. I mean, all the old guys, rapport was a big thing. But who are they selling to? Boomers, Gen Z, Gen X? Who are they selling to? The greatest generation. What's the difference? The greatest generation, how much did they have access to TV, the internet? How many times were they tried to be sold something? Heck, door-to-door salespeople worked on the greatest generation because they weren't skeptical. But how skeptical are boomers, Gen X, Gen Z? How skeptical are those? I mean, anybody after the greatest generation, how skeptical are they? How many sales pitches have they seen? And as soon as you start trying to build rapport with them, they're gonna turn off. They know exactly what you're doing. So what we do is what? Find things that they want and then give them to them. That's what we do for rapport. And Jeff, what did they find out when they did a study to find out who this is the way we develop rapport too. And Jeff, when they did a study to find out who do jurors believe? Do they believe the person with the most credentials behind their name? Do they believe the person who has the most in common with them? Who do the jurors believe?
They believe the person who can explain it in layman's terms. So the better you are explaining things, the more likely people are to believe you.
Yep. And Steve says the best storyteller. You're exactly right. Telling stories builds rapport. It makes them believe you. Explaining it in things as Jeff just said, things in the way that they understand them, that's what develops rapport. Doing fake rapport by trying to find things you have common does not work. In fact, it not only does it not work, it works against you because it turns boomers off and everybody from that point on off. You can't fool them with that. You can't be everyone to everyone, but you can be something great for someone. So if you're going to specialize in retirees, you've got to be what? You have to have special knowledge that retirees need. Do we have that with our 3 unique selling propositions? Yes. Give first, sell second. How do we do this? Give first, sell second. Because remember, we have a catch-22. Today, the skeptical people, and can we all agree, boomers are skeptical, Gen X, Gen Z, everybody since the greatest generation are skeptical. So they're not going to think that you care about, they're not going to buy from you until they know that you care. They're not going to buy from you until they know that you care. All the other advisors out there can't really show that they care until they become a client. So that's a catch-22. Round and round you go. They're not going to buy from you until you show you care, but other advisors can't show they care until they buy from them. So it does not work. It's very, very difficult to get a client. So what do we do to give first, sell second? The first 7 of the 21. That's right. The non-financial. We give the non-financial first. That shows that we care, which then allows us to get in to sell. I used to tell people when I was making $1 million a year as an advisor that I get paid $1 million a year to do things I do not get paid for. It's those things that I did not get paid for that allowed me to get paid on product. That's how we give first, sell second. Ask great questions, listen, to their answers. That's what equals a great coach. That's another thing that differentiates a great salesperson. Be mindful of psychological quirks, the anchoring effect, the decoy effect, rhyme as reason effect, loss aversion, peak end rule, curse of knowledge, confirmation bias. How do we get by all of these things? Because these are all things that you have, I have, and your clients have. How do we get by these things? How do we remove these things from our client? By asking open-ended questions and walking them through the Socratic method so that they come to their own realization of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what's logical and not logical. If you try to tell people things, guess how much they'll hang on to these fallacies. If you try to sell somebody or convince somebody, how long and how hard will they hold on to these biases? With white knuckles. But by using motivational interviewing and the Socratic method, letting them walk through step by baby step through the logic of what we're doing in their own words, these things go away. Also, mirroring in negotiations. What's one of the tools we use in mirroring? Gotsing them, getting on their side. That's how we mirror them. We see, we're just like you. The things that you're worried about, we're worried about. How else should you mirror somebody? If they talk slow, you should what? That was one of the hardest things I had to do as an advisor, is to learn to talk slow. If they talk fast, you should what? Talk fast. If they talk loud, talk loud. If they talk soft, talk soft. So learn to mirror. Does mirror mean copy them exactly? So when they scratch their nose, you scratch your nose, and when they no, it means what? Generally following the same. And if you don't know how to do this, there's tons of information on how to do this online, whether it's you want to read about it, there's lots of YouTube videos about it. This is something that you should learn how to do. Tap into emotion. Do we tap into emotion, guys? What's the number one emotion we tap into, and what makes 100% of the people we get in front of move their money to us? I don't care if they're a tire kicker, if they're a plate licker, or if they're an easy sale. Why do 100% of the people move to us? Because we tap in to an emotion. It is the one thing that you accomplish that guarantees 100% of people will move all their money to you. Not trust. It is not trust. Okay, we got one. Bob's got it right. Bob's the only one who's getting it right. Nick's got it right. Well, I'm going to go with Tom. Tom, you said intentionally misleading. If all I show is that their guy intentionally misled them, what does that do? Is that emotional, or is that? It's not trust, guys. When I made $50,000, even though I got in front of 300 people, all those people trusted me. But they took all of that information and went back to their guy and said, if we ever need you, if our guy ever retires, if our guy ever quits, we'll come to you. What is the emotion? What is the one emotion that they cannot sleep with? What is the one emotion why our guys, I have tape after tape after tape of people moving all their money while they're on vacation. How did I get twice, in 2 years in a row, get clients who their son was their advisor to move all their money to me? What is the number one emotion that they cannot live with, that's going to eat at them, that they cannot trust their advisor? And a lot of you said trust, and so you're right if you mean not that they trust me, but instead if you mean they no longer trust their current advisor. So when you said trust, you meant they no longer trust their current advisor? Absolutely. If you mean, hey, you got to get them to trust you, no, it has nothing to do with you. Zero to do with you. It has everything to do with their current advisor. So those of you who said trust, you're right if you mean that they no longer trust their guy, but you're not right if you thought that they got to trust you, because it has nothing to do with you. They do end up trusting you. Why do they end up trusting you? Because when you go through the 21 and you're showing them all the tricks their current advisor played on them, what do they think about you? See, if a magician shows you how he cuts the lady in half, what can he no longer do? Can he ever trick you with that again? If he shows you how he cuts the lady in half, he can never fool you again. So if you show them all the tricks that their current advisor is playing on them, all the information they're withholding from them, what do they know about you? You may trick them in other ways, but there's 21 ways you will not trick them. So guess what that automatically forfeits? Forfeits the fact that they are going to trust you. You don't ever have to build it. They just say, well, he's showing me what's behind the curtain. Obviously, he's not going to try to trick us, so I can trust the guy. You don't have to build it. It's just assumed. Does that make sense? And remember, they are a person. They're not a sale. The litmus test of this is you got to ask yourself, if someone did this to me, how would I feel? So if someone left me this voicemail, what would I think about it? If someone sent me this email, how would I react to it? So always put yourself in their shoes. If you're not sure, ask your wife, hey, if somebody left you this email, honey, what would you think? If somebody sent this, I do this all the time with Michelle and Missy. If I sent you this email, what would you think? Before I send it, I may have somebody look at it to make sure, because we know the emotion we're trying to convey. But does that mean they're going to feel that via an email? It's easier via voicemail, but it's still kind of tough. But number one, should you ever say somebody's a tire? If you're saying somebody's a tire kicker and a plate licker, is that a successful advisor or not a successful advisor? Jeff, have you ever heard any of our top 10 guys call somebody a plate licker and a tire kicker?
No.
Heck, have you ever heard anybody in the top 50% of our guys call somebody a plate licker and a tire kicker?
No.
Because what's happening when they do that?
They're internalizing it. If that's how you feel about somebody, they see that, they know that. You can't hide that.
So at the first time a client pushes back a little bit, if you think that people are in your office are tire kickers, plate lickers, the first time somebody pushes back even a little bit, Jeff, what are you going to do?
You're going to just say, well, they're ungettable. They're just here for information.
And, right. You give up. So I had one of our top 3 advisors basically had a huge client that he called and he said, I lost this guy because this happened and he's kind of an asshole, pardon my French. And I said, well, what happened? And he went through what had happened. I said, dude, first of all, that was not his fault. You actually created that problem when we walked through what had happened. You created that problem. See, he's not in there to move all his money to you. He's there to get free information. If you think you think somebody's coming to move their money to you in a first meeting, guess what? You're crazy. I looked, I knew every single person that was coming in wanted free information and did not want to move to me. Okay, so I knew they wanted free information. I knew they did not want to move to me, but does that necessarily make them a tire kicker or a plate licker, or does that make them a normal human being? Are they a tire kicker? I mean, what would you do in their shoes? Would you want to move all your money to somebody you just met when you've been working with your current guy for 7 years? Would you want to move your medical needs to a doctor you just met when you've had a doctor you're perfectly happy with for the last 7 years? They're just normal people. So I don't look at them as tire kickers, plate lickers. I'm like, yeah, I know. If I was in your shoes, I'd also want free information. I also want to bring it to my guy. It's less hassle, and I don't have to confront my guy saying I don't trust you anymore. So of course I want that. So I see, when you call somebody a plate licker and tire kicker, that has gone from just a fact or a piece of data into what? If you call somebody, because when I say, hey, I know they're coming in and they want free information, they don't want to move to me. Some people say, well, yeah, that's a tire kicker plate licker. No. That's data. When you start calling somebody a tire kicker and plate licker, you've taken that data and you've done what to it? What have you done to it? You've now formed a negative opinion of that person. Do I look at somebody who comes in for free information that does not want to move their money to, do I look at them as get mad at them or any negative connotation to them? Or am I happy to see those folks? Am I happy to see somebody who comes in with a ton of money, who's totally happy with their current advisor and wants free information, doesn't want to move to their current guy, move from their current guy? How happy am I when that person walks in? Well, Ron says, I'm happy for the opportunity. I'm happy for the opportunity to do what, Ron? Yeah, Bob, I'm ecstatic because I know that. See, my best prospect, that's right, exposure advisor, Ron. My best prospect is who? Who is my best prospect? Who would I like to fill my pipeline with? Who would I love to? The other guy's best clients. All my competitors' best clients. If I could have a 100 people walk through my office who were my 100 worst competitors' best clients, how many of them am I gonna sell? If I'm good at motivation interviewing, good at gossing people, I've been doing my 15-minute drill, I know my scripts for the 21-point checklist, how many of those people am I going to sell? All of them. How many tire kickers and plate lickers are going to leave their current advisor once they find out that they've told themselves 100 times in an hour and a half the guy's taking advantage of them by hiding information that lines his pocket? How many plate lickers and tire kickers are going to stay with their current guy? None. So don't judge people. Just expect that they're all coming in for free information. That's part of the process. Our job then is to walk through and use our skills with the 21-point checklist to get them to say, I no longer trust my guy because he's withholding information that lined his pockets and took it right out of my pockets. I would not have made the same decisions if he had given us this information. Does that make sense? Super. Well, does it hurt to get reminded of these sales skills on a regular basis, guys? Or is it just a constant process? Because you can only be good. I mean, that's why they have the best football tacklers in the world still have to do what at every practice? Tackle. The best receivers still have to do what every practice? Catch. The best quarterbacks still have to do what? Run plays, throw the football. So this is just a constant reminder because we can't be great at all these things or try to work on all these things at one time. You got to find one thing and say, you know what, today, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to be awesome at questions a day. Today, I'm going to be awesome making sure they understand I'm giving them good information first before I try to sell. So just pick skills and get better at it every single day. The best way to do that is with the 15-minute drill. Make sense? Super. Then you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.